Okay. Some additional information that you need to know about our freshman scholarships. Again, they do have to be graduating high school seniors. They have to be admitted as a first-time entering freshman on the Russellville campus to be considered for scholarship offers. They also have to be U.S. citizens or resident aliens. The application for undergraduate admission serves as our freshman academic scholarship application. So there's not a separate scholarship application to complete, but you do have to have an early admit status. And so that means that you do have to have that undergraduate application for admission on file and a current high school transcript that shows a qualifying GPA and ACT or SAT score. The priority freshman academic scholarship deadline is November 15th, 2020, and the final deadline is February the 15th of 2021. And the national February ACT exam scores are the last results that we will accept for our freshman scholarship consideration. And at this point, Arkansas Tech does not accept ACT super scores for scholarship consideration. Something to keep in mind for our prospective students who live outside of Arkansas, if you're an applicant who lives in the contiguous states of Louisiana, Mississippi, Oklahoma, Tennessee, and Texas, you are considered in-state for tuition purposes. And those students who live outside of Arkansas, its contiguous states, there are a limited number of out-of-state scholarship awards that we do make each year. You can only receive one freshman academic scholarship in any semester. However, a student can receive one of our freshman academic scholarships and a concurrent advantage scholarship in the same term, and we'll talk about those in just a minute. Again, the scholarship recipients must be admitted on the Russellville campus. They have to be enrolled in 15 hours. That students have to have a free application for federal student aid or a Fafsa on file with our financial aid office, and Elon's going to talk about that in a minute. But all of that has to happen also before the scholarship will credit. The scholarship recipients have to either have to have housing charges, they need to live in an on-campus residence hall, or they have to receive an exemption to the residency requirements from the Residence Life Office. And then finally, freshman academic scholarships are renewable for 7 consecutive semesters after the first, for a total of 8 semesters, or the completion of an undergraduate degree, whichever comes first, as long as the student maintains the scholarship renewal requirements. Okay. And
I was going to say, we did get our first question in the Q&A feature, and the question was, are there non-traditional student scholarships available, like for students who didn't have the opportunity to take the ACT or the SAT and had their GED?
We will consider students who do have their GED, but they have to be someone who would be a traditional age student, somebody who would be graduating in May of 2021. So if we have somebody who is supposed to graduate in May of 2021 and takes their GED, sometime during this, like between now and between May, and we probably could even, we can consider that person. And so we're going to look at the GED score, and we're going to look at the ACT or SAT score. So yes, we can do that. But if that student should have graduated previously, it's just like any other student who had previously graduated. Right now, our freshman academic scholarships, we can only consider the students who are for freshmen who are going to be graduating in 2021. Christy, let's see, I'll touch briefly on our private scholarships if you'll remind me, because that might be another option for those students.
Absolutely. Good deal.
Okay, next slide. Additional scholarship opportunities for our incoming freshmen. Again, I mentioned the Concurrent Advantage Scholarship. So all of the graduating seniors who earn concurrent credit through Arkansas Tech University as a high school student, they're admitted on the Russellville campus as an incoming freshman student. We do make that Concurrent Advantage Scholarship Award, and that is a $1,000 per year award. And again, that is one that can be awarded at the same time as a freshman academic scholarship. Also, students, graduating seniors who are recognized by the state as Governor's Distinguished Scholars, those students are eligible for one of our Advanced Scholar stipends, and that stipend is bundled with one of our freshman academic scholarships, whichever one the student is eligible to receive. That is a $2,000 per year award. And then finally, University Honors Stipend for students who are interested in joining our University Honors Program. Again, graduating high school senior students must have a 3.5 cumulative high school GPA, and they have to have either an ACT composite score of a 27 or better, or a comparable SAT score, or be in the top 10% of their graduating class. Now, consideration for the University Honors Program does require a separate application, and it is available on the website, and you can see that there. But the application includes an essay, and then selected students come and interview. And again, there is additional information, including the link to the application, on the website. Now, the deadline to apply for University Honors is noon on December 1st. And Dr. Jamie Stacy is serving as our interim University Honors Director, and probably the best way to reach her would be via email, and her email address is listed on the screen as well, jstacy4@atu.edu. And Kristen, this might be a good time to talk about our private scholarships. We do have a lot of private scholarships available through our foundation office. That information is available on the website as well. Those scholarships are for incoming freshmen. They're for non-traditional students. They are for transfer students. Some of those scholarships, I think a lot of those scholarships, even students who are, if they are undocumented students or DACA students, they would be eligible to apply for some of those scholarships. So I would encourage everybody to go out and look at those scholarships that are available through the foundation office. Okay, and now for transfer students. These are our levels for fall 2021. And one thing that I will say about all of these are based on students coming in with at least 12 or more 4-credit hours from their most recent institution. Okay, so that's what we look at, is where you are coming from, your most recent institution, as far as the number of hours completed and the GPA. And students do have to have at least 12 hours coming in from that most recent institution. The Tech Transfer Scholarship has 2 levels to it. And again, this is for fall 2021. For level 1, which is a $4,000 per year award, students have to have at least a 3.25 cumulative GPA. For the $3,000 award at level 2, students need to have at least a 275. So 275 to 3.24 cumulative GPA, they would be able to get consideration for the level 2 of the tech transfer. We also have a scholarship for students who are members of Phi Theta Kappa International Honor Society, our Ptk Transfer Scholarship. Those students have to have at least a 3.5 cumulative GPA coming in. We do award a limited number of those, and students do have to provide documentation of their PTK membership, and that's a $6,000 per year award. Arkansas Tech allows all of the 2-year schools in the state to name one person each fall and spring term to receive a Presidential Honors Transfer Scholarship. So again, this is based on the recommendation of the President or Chancellor at any of the Arkansas 2-year colleges. So interested students, there's not an application at Arkansas Tech for the scholarship. Interested students need to check with either their 2-year school's President or Chancellor's office or the financial aid office to determine how their school makes the selection for that scholarship. And it is a $6,000 per year award. And then finally, students who are selected as Arkansas Academic All-Stars by their 2-year colleges are eligible for consideration for the most lucrative transfer scholarship that we offer, our Arkansas Academic All-Star Transfer Scholarship, and that is a $9,000 per year award. And again, these are the levels for fall 2021. And then if you'll go to the next slide, we may have some students, transfer students, who plan to join us in the spring. All of the scholarships, the PTK, the Presidential Honors, and the Arkansas Academic are the same for fall and spring. The difference is the levels, the GPA requirements for the levels on the Tech Transfer Scholarship. So if you're coming in spring 2021 for the $4,000 a year award at level 1, you have to have at least a 3.5. And for the $3,000 per year award at level 2, students would have to have at least a 3.0 to a 3.49. And then we'll go to the next one. And it is just some additional information for our transfer scholarships. Again, the applicant has to be seeking a first bachelor's degree and admitted as a transfer student on the Russellville campus to be considered for scholarship offers. And for scholarship consideration, student must have the transfer scholarship application, and that is available on our website. They also have to have an application for undergraduate admission and transcripts from all of the colleges that the student has attended on file in the admissions office. And if the admissions office requests a high school transcript or ACT or SAT scores, those have to be on file for consideration as well. And the priority deadline for consideration for the fall term is April 1st, 2021. And priority deadline consideration for the spring term is December 1st of 2020. And just like with the freshman scholarships, applicants must be U.S. citizens or resident aliens. And again, I mentioned that if you are a member of Phi Theta Kappa, we do ask you to provide documentation of that. Also, if you're an academic all-star, if you can provide documentation, that would be great. You can just email that to scholarships@atu.edu. And again, for our out-of-state students, if you're live in a contiguous state, you're considered in-state for tuition purposes, but we will award a limited number of those out-of-state scholarships for the students who live outside of the contiguous states. And students may only receive the one tech-funded transfer scholarship in any semester. And again, just like with the freshmen, they do have to be admitted on the Russellville campus, have to be enrolled in 15 hours, have to have a Fafsa on file, and either housing charges, live on campus, or an exemption to the residency requirements. And the transfer scholarships are renewable for 5 consecutive semesters after the first. So that's for a total of 6 total semesters, or the completion of an undergraduate degree, whichever comes first, as long as the student meets the renewal requirements. So, and then an opportunity for questions. I went pretty quickly, so if I need to repeat something or if you have a question, but I know we've got a lot of other information to cover, so.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a lot of information when you're just learning about the processes. So if you have any questions, throw them in that Q&A feature, and we'll make sure that those get answered for you. Another tip and trick is to screenshot the slides for reference later.
And I'm going to stay on till the end of the session. So if somebody thinks of something later, I'm just going to hang out and be here. So I'll be available. And the next screen will show my contact information, my email address. So if anyone has questions, please email me. Be happy to answer those for you.
Ms. Lisa, I do have one question that came in the chat during the Q&A, and it says, regarding the advanced stipend scholarship, which state's governor has to distinguish us as an advanced student? Are you eligible for this scholarship if you do not reside in the state of Arkansas?
No, that's for somebody who is a Arkansas Governor's Distinguished Scholar. And those are awards that are made through the Arkansas Department of Higher Education. So right now, we don't, if they're outside the state of Arkansas. So no.
Another question that came in that you may be able to help with, someone asked about Raise Me.
Okay. We are no longer participating in Raise Me, but if you've earned some credit through Raise Me, when it gets to be time for us to make that scholarship award, if you just want to email me, then we'll check and see what we can do. But right now, we are not participating in the Raise Me. My guess is that probably that whatever you're eligible to, whatever you've earned, my hope is that you'll just get a scholarship that will reflect that amount, maybe even more based on your academic credentials, be the hope.
Were there any other questions in the chat? Okay, well, guys, go ahead and screenshot Miss Elisa's contact information. So if you do have questions following up, then you can email her at that email.
Kristen, one more. A student asks, are there scholarships for students in Missouri? I know, Ms. Alisa, can you clarify the freshman academic scholarships for out-of-state students?
Okay, so for someone who lives in Missouri, they would, whatever, based on their academic credentials, we would make that freshman academic scholarship award. If it's a freshman, we would make that scholarship award. And then they're going to automatically be charged Arkansas in-state tuition. So we're not going to give an additional scholarship to somebody who's coming in from Missouri because they're already getting the benefit of being charged in-state tuition. If we have somebody who's coming from New Mexico, because that's not a contiguous state, then we would consider one of those students for maybe an additional out-of-state scholarship award because that student is going to be paying out-of-state tuition. Does that make sense? Do you think that answers the question, Deidre?
Yes, ma'am, I believe so. I'll be watching the chat to see if DeJuan has any more questions about that.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so we're going to take this time throughout every session. We draw for prizes. And so we're going to draw for a t-shirt right now. And the lucky number is number 10. Meredith?
All righty. So number 10 is Leslie Laughlin. So Leslie, I will message you and we will get your information.
All right. Congratulations, Leslie. Okay, so if there are no more questions for Miss Alisa at this time, we're going to go ahead and switch it over to the financial aid portion of our session. Give me a second to get this PowerPoint up and running. So this financial aid session is going to be led by Miss Elon Tomlin. And Elon, I'm going to go ahead and give it over to you.
Thank you, Kristen. Good afternoon, everybody. So my name is Elon Tomlin. I work in the financial aid office at ATU. Right now, I currently manage the institutional scholarships that Ms. Alisa just spoke about. And then I also assist with private scholarships and getting those posted. Today, I'm just going to give you some pretty general information about federal aid. Ms. Alisa covered scholarships, so we'll be good to go. So your first step is going to be doing the FAFSA. If you want, you can go ahead and create your FSA ID right now. The actual FAFSA for next year hasn't opened yet. Some tips for completing your FSA ID is to use different email addresses for you and your parents so nothing gets mixed up there. Also, do not use your high school email address. That email address isn't going to be good forever. Use one that you're going to be able to always log into. Also, keep your FSA ID password and the ID in a secure location. That way you always know where it is because you're going to have to do this every year that you're in college. Okay, and it's a hassle having to reset it. Okay, so there are actually 3 different ways you can apply for the FAFSA now. There's a mobile app you can download on your phone. that's an option. I think it sounds a little tedious to do it on your phone, but if you want to, then do it. Online, that's the option that most people use. And then if you're old school, of course, you can print off a paper application and mail it in. So after you've got your FSA ID all set up for you and your parents, you'll log into FAFSA or on your phone or do paper, whatever's you're most comfortable with. You're going to have to complete it each year you attend college, so keep that in mind. And also note that some schools do require the FAFSA to be on file to receive institutional funds, and ATU does require the FAFSA to be on file for those scholarships if you're awarded. Some basic eligibility requirements are that you're a U.S. citizen or permanent resident, have a valid Social Security number, are a high school graduate or a GED holder, and if you're a male, that you've registered for the Selective Service. I want to touch a little bit more on, oh, I'm sorry, Kristen, touch a little bit more on a permanent resident and what that means. It means that you're going to be an eligible non-citizen. So that means you either have a permanent resident card, a resident alien card, or an alien registration receipt card, which is also a green card. If you have been granted deferred action for childhood arrivals, which is called DACA, just know that you're not going to be eligible for federal student aid, but please come talk to us because there may be other funds that we can help you apply for, okay? Okay, so this is where it gets a little bit tricky and where it's always good to talk to the school that you plan to attend. The FAFSA is always going to use the prior tax information year. And so what this means, it just means 2 years ago from the current year that you're filling it out. So for the upcoming FAFSA, you're going to be using your 2019 tax information. I always stress, if you can use the data retrieval tool when you're completing your FAFSA, please do it because it will make your life so much easier and you don't have to go through all of the hassle of trying to figure out how to read your taxes and then get it on the FAFSA. Also, I like to touch base on what tax documents you need before you sit down when you do your FAFSA. You're going to need your IRS tax return. So it's like a 1040, and then any schedules that are going to accompany it. Also have copies of W-2s from 2019, if anyone paid or received child support, and then your untaxed income. Examples of untaxed income are workers' compensation, the untaxed portions of railroad retirement benefits, foreign income not taxed by a government. The one that I think would be most prevalent among people filling out the FAFSA is disability benefits and then untaxed portions of health savings accounts. Those are two big ones. And also please note that, so I know that you're going to use a prior year for tax information. You're not going to use prior information for your household size. So when it asks how many people are in your household and how many are in college, you're going to use the right now. And also count yourself as someone in college, even though you are a high school senior at the moment. Okay, and this is also another part that can be a little bit tricky. Whose income information are you going to use if you are a dependent student? If your biological parents are married or together, you're going to use their tax information. If your biological parents are divorced, you're going to use the information of the parent you last lived with. And be sure you include your step parent if that parent is remarried. And also one more thing I want to mention on whose income to use. If your parent is a non-citizen, that can also be a little bit tricky. It doesn't mean that you're ineligible for federal aid at all. What you'll have to do, and you may want to talk to the school that you're going to go to, the financial aid office, before you get started on it. You'll probably enter all zeros for your parent's social security number. and do not enter a taxpayer ID number on the FAFSA for a social ever. That will reject it, and you'll have to go through a lot of hassle to get that corrected. One thing that will happen if your parent is a non-citizen is that it won't allow them to electronically sign it. You do have the option for a paper signature. You just have to send it in via mail, so it takes a little bit longer to process, but it's not a big deal. And then if there are any other scenarios in this situation, just talk to the school that you're going to go to and they'll help you for sure. A lot of times situations can be different, and that's okay. So of course, you can use the following for reporting parental income on your FAFSA. So a biological parent, and it can include a step parent or an adoptive parent. You cannot use your grandparents, a friend's parent, a roommate, or anything like that. If none of these options are something that you fall under, just talk to your school, and then there's this process called professional judgment that a counselor in the financial aid office can talk to you about and walk you through. That way we can be sure to get you the aid that you're eligible for, okay? There are, of course, common errors on the FAFSA. We see it every day. We talk to students, and you know, it happens. But some steps to take to kind of prevent those errors is be sure if your mom or dad is helping you complete the FAFSA that they're not putting their information where yours goes, or vice versa, because that's something that we see a lot. Also, make sure you actually sign the FAFSA, because you get to the end and you're like, oh, thank goodness I'm done. Just be sure you sign it and you submit it, and you get your student aid report at the end. Also, there can be personal information mismatches. So anytime you enter your social security number or your date of birth, double check it and make sure that you've typed it in right. You can get to going typing fast and just miskey something. When that happens, it causes a big hassle. You'll have to report your social security number to the school so they can verify, et cetera, et cetera. And like I said, if you can, use the data retrieval tool when you are inputting tax information. That way it just cuts down on some steps that you have to take. And then also the household size, but we touched that as well. If you have questions about the household size, ask the school you're going to, and they'll be able to explain it to you, okay? So you've done your FAFSA now. What's next? You have the option to list several schools on the FAFSA once you are doing it. So each school is going to receive that FAFSA electronically. Once they receive it, they're going to process it and post any federal aid that you're eligible for. Once you have access to your account at the school you're going to, you're going to get a letter or an email, a letter from us saying, you know, hey, we've posted your aid, or hey, we need more information. So be sure that you're checking your email and your student portal for updates. There is something that can happen when you complete the FAFSA. It's called verification. About 30% of the population that completes a FAFSA are going to be selected. It's just an extra step, and the school has to verify all of the information that you reported on the FAFSA. There'll be paper documents that you're asked to turn in. Some of them could be copies of your tax return transcript. That's why the data retrieval tool is your friend, because if you use it, then we won't ask for that if you are selected for verification. You could be asked for W-2s or proof of your untaxed income that was reported or not reported. So like I said, an example could be Social Security benefits or pensions, etc. And then of course you'll have to complete the verification worksheet, which is an in-house form. Okay, so
I have a quick question.
yeah.
Speaking of sending your FAFSA to different schools, student asks, can I apply for the FAFSA for ATU? I guess send the FAFSA to ATU while I am still enrolled at North Ark, and will that affect my aid at North Ark?
No, it won't. So what you would do is you would just log back into the FAFSA, add ATU as a school to receive it, and then we'll get it and then we'll process it. If you're, so let's say, I don't know the exact scenario, but let's say that you're attending North Art this fall, you're planning to transfer to ATU in the spring. When that transition happens, you just need to make sure that you have North Art cancel all your federal aid at the end of the term. Because until they cancel it on their end, we won't be able to give you any federal aid on our end. Because the federal government does watch to make sure students aren't receiving federal aid at multiple schools. Okay. All right, so avoid sticker shock. We get so many questions about cost of attendance from freshmen and their parents, and it's totally understandable. It looks crazy when you see it. Just know that the cost of attendance number is an estimated number, and it's to give you a good estimate of how much it's going to cost you to attend the school, and it's to set a limit on the amount of financial aid that you can receive at the school. So it's not a set in stone number or anything like that. Just take it for what it is, and it's okay. But it includes a lot of things. We include an estimate of tuition and fees, books and supplies, rooms and meals, transportation, miscellaneous personal expenses, so that can vary from daycare to a computer purchase, and then loan fees. What your actual charges are going to include are your tuition and fees, your on-campus housing, and your meal plan. So that's a big difference. So just keep that in mind when you do see your cost of attendance out there. Okay, so there are several different types of aid that is offered from the federal government. Need-based aid is one of the biggest, and keep in mind that need is determined by using your cost of attendance from the school and subtracting your estimated family contribution. And then you get how much need is left over. So the types of aid that you can be awarded if you are need eligible or need based are the Supplemental Educational Opportunities Grant, Federal Work Study, which allows you to obtain on-campus jobs and work, and then subsidized loans and the Pell Grant. Also note that the estimated family contribution is not the amount of money your family will have to pay for college, and it's not the amount of federal student aid that you'll receive. It's a number that is calculated by the federal government, and it's just so we can calculate how much need you have left, and that way we can give you all of the aid that you are eligible for. A little bit about loan information. There are a few different types of loans through the federal government. Like I said, subsidized loans are going to be need-based. The government's going to pay the interest rate while you're in school. When you enter repayment, your interest will begin to accrue. Unsubsidized loans are not need-based, and your interest will begin to accrue when the loan is dispersed. And just know that you're responsible for all of that accrued interest over time. Repayment for federal student loans are going to start after you graduate 6 months, or if you fall below half-time status, which is less than 6 hours. And like I said, there's a 6-month grace period in between that as well. There's also the PLUS loans that are offered by the federal government. There are Parent Plus loans that are in the parent's name. They require a separate application and a credit check. And it's just additional loan money that can be used for dependent students. And the repayment does begin when the loan is fully dispersed. So it's a little bit different than the other loans in that regard, but you can defer repayment if you need to. You just have to request it. And also note that your loan amount is going to increase as you progress through college. Okay, so there are strings attached to federal aid, just like all other aid. So you have to have a 2.0 cumulative GPA after 4 terms of attendance. And then just be sure that you are continuing to progress, and that way you can build up your GPA and you'll be in good shape if something does happen and you do get in a bind one semester. Also, keep in mind that you have to complete at least 67% of the hours you attempt. Don't sign up for classes that you don't think that you're going to successfully complete, because it can put you behind and it could jeopardize your federal aid. And then also just know that you need to complete your degree within 150% of the time that the program takes. If you surpass that percentage, then you're not going to be eligible for aid for the remainder of that degree. Okay, I just wanted to touch base on the Adhe Awards. There are several different awards that they offer, and I do recommend you going out to their website and looking at all of those. They have a lot of specific ones, and then they have ones that almost everyone's going to be eligible for, the Challenge Scholarship being the largest. The deadline for the scholarships to be, your application to be submitted is going to be midnight on July 1st before you begin college. So July 1st of 2021. And just know you also have to have a Fafsa on file to apply for these scholarships. And I just wanted to give a little bit more information about the Challenge Award. You do have to be an Arkansas resident for at least 1 year prior to your enrollment. You have to have your FAFSA, and a 19 on the ACT is the score that you'll need. And also know that you are still eligible for the Challenge Award, even if you are a non-traditional student. They're just going to look at some different things and ask for different transcripts. So you have to have a 2.5 GPA from an Arkansas high school or a 2.5 GPA college GPA, okay? And you apply for those on the Universal application. And you know, when you look at the list of the scholarships on their website, it's going to have a little apply now button that you can click, and it'll pull up the Universal application. Okay, and like Miss Alisa said, I just wanted to give you some deadlines for ATU scholarships. November 15th is priority deadline for Tech Academic, and the final deadline February 15th. And then foundation scholarships are going to be November 15th, and that application is going to be available on your One Tech. You can also find it on the scholarship page at atu.edu. That pretty much sums it up. I'm going to be here to take questions for anyone. I hope I covered enough information for you.
Elon, we have one question in the chat that I'd like you to take a peek at. She asked that she forgot to include her tax information. She didn't see the spot to add hers, only her mom's. And then she said she submitted it early on accident, but she's actually intending to transfer, or to not transfer, come in during the spring, like January. So hers is going to be a little different. It would be best if she reach out directly, since it's kind of a tricky question.
I would recommend just reaching out directly to us. If you've submitted your FAFSA and you listed ATU as a school to receive it, then we'll have it. So if there is an error on it, then it's going to be able to, it'll tell us what the error is, and then we can talk to you and tell you what you need to do to correct it, okay?
There is a question in the chat about who to contact for veteran services. I'm not sure if anybody can answer that question. I'm just throwing it out there to the whole panel. A student is asking for direct contact for veteran services.
Shelley Hall is the director over in our Veteran Services office. And so, and there is a website out there with her contact information. So she is a wonderful resource, and she's our certifying officer on campus. So I would recommend reaching out to her. Margie Link works with the military benefits and payments, I think, in the student accounts office. But I think I would just reach out to Shelley first.
Any other questions that were in the Q&A that just need additional clarification? All right, well, if y'all do have any other questions about the FAFSA or even those ADHE scholarships, then Elon is going to be hanging around till the end of the session. Right now, we're going to take another break and announce another t-shirt prize. And the lucky number is 14.
Okay, so 14 is Megan Goldsmith. So, Megan, I will reach out to you to get your t-shirt size.
All right, congratulations, Megan. Free t-shirt. Okay, so now we're going to hand it over to Miss Alex. I'm going to share her PowerPoint, and she's going to talk about student accounts, their services, and how that applies to incoming students.
All right, guys, good afternoon. Like Kristen said, my name is Alex Phillips. I'm a physical support analyst here in the student accounts office. So I just wanted to break down what our office does and what we offer and just hopefully clear up some questions that most people have. So we'll get started. Okay, and so we do have Twitter and Facebook as well. We're pretty active on those just in case you have any questions about deadlines, and we'll get more into that too soon enough. So. Okay, so billing dates and information. So our billing starts July 15th. It says 2019. Just of course it applies, every year on July 15th. Charges will get calculated on your student account on July 15th, and those are tuition and fees, meal plan, you name it, whatever you've accepted will show on July 15th. Like classes that are registered for the board approved fees and the room and board if you decide to do that on campus. Okay, so July 17th is when all types of financial aid will begin to authorize on your student account. That equals federal financial aid, scholarships, and grants. These reflect the current authorized funds your student will be receiving and will be viewed as a credit on your account. However, these funds do not become actual credits until prior to the first day of class. So you may see what we call authorized aid on your student account. That just means like we can see, especially with billing, we have people call that want to pay just the difference of what they owe and what authorized aid is going to cover. So if your student has been awarded federal work study, the funds will not reflect on your bill at that time. Being awarded work study does not guarantee funds. Students must be qualified on campus jobs in order to receive these funds. But you can speak to financial aid as well, more so about that, and they could probably tell you more. Okay, and Ms. Elon did this earlier. We just kind of justify for us in this case, we have what we call a term balance and then account balance. It's kind of similar to that. Term balance is what you owe for that specific term. Now, if you're upcoming freshman, usually you will not have a balance unless you were a concurrent student prior. So account balance will show your overall tuition and fee cost. Even we'll say concurrent tuition that you had left over, that will be included, but the actual account balance will be, your term balance will be for that specific term. Okay, so billing dates and information. For fall, the charges are due before August 21st, which is the first day of class. In our office, you can pay with cash, check, or money order in office, but we do also have payment plans available, and we'll get more into that. So for the first one that we offer, the first payment plan opens mid-July to August 21st, and that requires 20% down of your full tuition and then 4 equal payments from September to December. That's how that works. And then the second payment plan, if you're not able to get that specific one, that one is open August 22nd through mid-September. Usually it's September 22nd is when that portal ends. and that requires 25% down and 3 payments from October to December. Okay, and here is a little snippet of just a past brochure that we have in our offices as well, and it's also located on our website at Student Accounts at the ATU page. There is a $35 one-time only enrollment fee. We don't do that necessarily. We work with a third-party company that does that charge. So that's just something to be mindful of. But it'll have the exact breakdown of how the payment plan works. Okay, so specify on how to pay your tuition. Online payments can be made through your One-Take account with credit or debit or e-check. Just make note that if you pay with a debit or credit card, there is a 1.5% convenience fee. Now, if you pay with an e-check option, which is your banking account, like your routing number and account number, that fee will not apply just because it's going directly out of your bank. So if paying in-house and in the office, we can only take cash or check, like I said earlier, and you just come in there and you can come up and ask us what your student owes, and we can help you guys out. Something to note as well is that we send bills electronically. We don't mail them out. So be on the lookout for your One-Take email, because we'll send bills periodically. Usually the 15th of every month is what the goal is. Okay, and this is the One-Take portal. And if your student chooses to go here, they'll get more familiar with this portal. So ours mainly, you'll see the tuition and aid tab on the left, about the 4th one down. This will be what we call the student accounts portal, where you can pay your bill, you can set up managed payment plans, enroll in direct deposit as well. We offer direct deposit option if your student, their federal aid is covering their tuition and fees. And there's also an international payment plan option as well. Okay, and then here's the payment plan portal, the one we just looked at, set up managed payment plan in the middle. This is what it'll look like, and what it'll do is it will bring up your student's full tuition amount, and then you'll just say set up a payment plan, and that'll show before you submit what each month will look like and the amount of payment you'll have. So, okay, and our office also does the refunds as well. Like I said, if your federal aid covers your tuition amount and you have a credit balance, we do a refund process. Usually fall refunds in general will run on the 26th, a week after school starts. So the first one, how that works, direct deposit, we try to push that because it is faster and more convenient. And it's also a couple of days faster. So how that works is we run our process every Monday throughout the semester. And so once that runs into a refund on the student account and turns to a zero balance, we will do direct deposit will be on a Wednesday. And then if not, paper check can be on Friday. Now it was a different semester. So this semester we had to do, of course, direct deposit on Wednesday, and then we mailed out checks on Thursday. So I guess, depending on how the semester is going to lay out, that's just what it will probably look like. Okay, and so online access. So ATU will send bills electronically to your One-Take, so no paper bills are ever mailed out. We think that it's more convenient this way just because, and it's usually pretty up to date. This is a way to, on One-Take and their tuition and aid, like I said earlier, you can view current and past charges along with due dates, make a payment in full using credit or bank account, set up a payment plan with Nelnet, who's our third-party company, make payments using international currencies, receive your 1098-T for around tax time, and view any financial aid requirements and accept financial aid awards as well. Okay, and that's just to justify again, see all your current balance, authorized aid, pay online, payment options, my account will show every semester that your student attends and what they owe. And then that financial aid requirements should always show, if you have red flags, that's what paperwork your student needs to fill out in order to get that financial aid go through. Okay, and then reiterate the payment plan one more time. If that's an option you choose, you set up managed payment plan, and like I said, it'll give you each a layout of what you'll owe the upcoming months. Okay, and there's just a little information about us. We're located in Brown Hall, Suite 241. We're right across the hall from financial aid, so we've noticed it's very handy to have both of us across from each other because we work hand in hand with each other. But if you have any questions, just give us a call. I'll also make note that in our office, we do have our card office, which is where you can get your Tech ID. That'll probably be your best friend in the upcoming semesters because it gets you access to your meal plan, and to every building on campus. And so we would be that, our office is where you go and we can, print you out a card. Or also we're starting something new to where you can go on your OneTech and request it online, and it can be mailed to you as well. So that's an option. And there's just financial aid as well.
Okay, thank you, Alex. So let's see if there are any questions in that Q&A feature. Cassidy, Deidre, and Meredith, is there anything in the Q&A right now that needs additional clarification?
Spencer asks, what scholarships are available for an ACT of 25 and a weighted GPA of 4.0?
Okay, if he is going to be a graduating senior this year, you can see on the screen for a 25 on the ACT. Is that right, Deidre, 25?
Yes, ma'am, a 25.
Okay, so that would be a Dean Scholarship. That's a $4,000 per year award. And one thing that I will say is even though the priority deadline isn't until November, I really hope to start extending some scholarship offers next week for students who already have that early admit status and are qualified. And I encourage students to go ahead and accept their offer. If they plan to take the ACT again later on, maybe in December or February, if they raise their ACT score to the next scholarship level, after we get all of those scores in, after those tests, I go in and I automatically do raised awards. So, but they need to go ahead and accept whatever we offer them.
Anything else in the Q&A that needs clarification?
I do want to, since we have a couple minutes, Ms. Lisa, can you talk a little bit about our foundation scholarships? We don't want to forget those.
Yes, I can talk a little bit about those. Those are actually handled through our foundation office, and Miss Christy Brown is the administrator. She's the one who works with them. Students, they do have to have that early admit status, but once they can log into their OneTech account, if you noticed on the financial aid screen, there's a place that said apply for foundation scholarships. And so the student just goes in, there's questions to answer. There are a couple of questions at the end, need to be sure and complete everything. These are set up by donors, and so they're all different. Some of them, like I said, some are specifically for incoming freshman students. Some of them, the criteria is you have to graduate from a certain high school. Some of them are based on major. They're just all different, and the award amounts vary. But there are a lot of them available, and our foundation office works really hard. They're increasing the number of those scholarships all the time. And one thing I will say, again, they're not all just for incoming students. Once you become an Arkansas Tech student, some of those scholarships are for upperclassmen. So even after you get here, I encourage students to fill out that application every year to see if you're eligible for something.
With the foundation scholarships, just to clarify, if anybody knows, the alumni scholarships that we give, those are part of the foundation application as well, aren't they?
I'm pretty sure Christy said it serves as the same one. Yes.
There's another question in the Q&A. What if my GPA is a little less than a 3.0, but I hope to have it there by the end of the school year? To have a 25 on the ACT currently, will I miss the opportunity for scholarships because it may not be until May before I have the 3.0?
Okay, so what we will do with that is if, and it's a big if we still have scholarship money available to award after that February 15th final deadline, then if there is money available in May, I always go in and after we get final transcripts, and I do it in January as well, because, you know, some students may not meet the GPA requirement that first semester, but then in December, after they completed the first semester of their senior year, they may meet the GPA requirement at that time. So I always go in January and check to see if we have any who've improved their GPAs. If there's money available, when we get final transcripts in May, then I can go ahead and consider students for a scholarship offer at that time if there's money available, and I just don't have any way of knowing. But what that means is you do need to go ahead and apply. You need to go ahead and apply for admission and turn in all of your information, and that way it's all on file so that if I am able to do that in May, it's all there and I can pull you in and extend an offer. So
Great,
just a
thank
lot of ifs.
Yeah. All right. Well, guys, it's 1:25 now, and that's all we have time for with this session. But if you still have questions, we are going to have how to enroll both for freshmen and transfer students at 2 o'clock following this session. And so we can continue to answer these questions for you. Before we go, we're doing one last giveaway for a t-shirt. The lucky number is number 8.
All right. Number 8 is, I gotta find it. Dewan Sanders. So Dewan, if you will send me your t-shirt size real quick, we will get that to you.
Yes. Get it to her really fast. So up next, again, at 2, don't forget to join our final round of sessions for today. The transfer admissions, how to transfer to ATU if you're a transfer student, and freshman admissions, how to enroll. And we'll continue to have these conversations. And don't forget, the more sessions that you participate in, the more chances you have to win our one-time $1,000 scholarships that we will be announcing later this afternoon. All right. Guys, thank you so much. Thank you to our panel, Miss Alex, Miss Alisa, and Miss Elon. Y'all were awesome. And thank you also to Deidre, Meredith, and Cassidy for handling that Q&A. So I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Thanks again.